Hi everybody, this is Cheryl, and I wanted to show you today the proper way to do backstitch. In my previous demonstration, I did not actually show the backstitch, I actually showed stem stitch. So, I'm going to show you the correct way to do a backstitch. Now, I've done my little chart here. Let's see if I can get this up here. Okay, when you start your backstitch, you come up. Now this would be your beginning stitch, but you would actually come up in the hole above it, and you come up and you go back down to where you want to start. Then you come up above the hole above it, and you go back to your beginning stitch and go down. Then you go up above the next hole and back down to the previous one, and you just keep repeating. Go up above and then back, up above and back, and that's why it's called the back stitch, because you're actually going back to the next hole. Okay, now let me try to show you this. It's let me get this started now. Alright, so you want to come up in the stitch in the hole above where you want to start. Okay? And you go back down to where you want to start. Okay? Alright, and then you go into the hole up above it. It's kind of an awkward position. You see that? And then you go back down. You see that? Go back down. And then you go into the next hole above it. Okay, and you go, just keep doing that. You just into the next hole above it, and okay, that's how you do the proper back stitch. Now, there was something else I wanted to talk about. One of the things that my son pointed out when he was watching my videos is he said, "Mom, you need to explain why you pull your thread the way you do." When I'm doing my stitching, I pull my thread to the side and I hold it with my thumb. The reason for that is that I don't want that thread in my way. I want to be able to see what I'm doing. The other thing is, if you hold your thread, especially if you hold it from the back, or or if it's real long and it gets underneath, it could get tangled up in your work. This kind of just gets it out of the way, so that it actually, so you can see what you're doing, and also doesn't get tangled up. Also, when you pull, when you're holding your thread like this, it doesn't twist as much for some reason. So when you pull it, it actually lays flatter. Okay, so it's just something that kind of makes it a little easier for when you're sewing. The other thing is I wanted to talk about was knotting. I had not said anything about knotting or not. I'm a knotter. I like to knot everything. I don't know, it's just who I am. It's just how I do things. When you knot, it does create a problem. In actual instructions for cross stitching, they tell you not to knot, that you're supposed to actually hold the end of your thread onto the back of your work and sew over it to lock it in place. And when you are done, you're supposed to actually weave the end of your thread into the back of the stitches on the back of your work, to lock it into place. And the way I finish my projects, it doesn't make any difference whether you knot or you know, if you don't knot, it doesn't matter, because the way I finish them, it's going to be locked in place regardless. But the problem with knotting is that when you have a lot of knots on the back, your work looks really crappy. Now look at my little angel here. There's a whole lot of different colors in this particular little angel, okay? And so I've got this knotted mass of a mess back here. Now, this is a little Christmas bag, and the way I'm going to finish it, it's not going to matter that that's a knotted mess back there. It's not going to show, you're not going to feel it, it's not going to be an issue. But if this was something that you wear and you have a knotted mess like that, that's going to be very uncomfortable to wear. So you want to take into consideration what you're making as to whether or not you should knot. But either way, it's important that you lock your stitches into place, and whether you knot or weave your ends into the back of the, makes no difference. It's preference as far as I'm concerned. The other thing I'm wanting to talk about is outlining. Outlining, no matter what craft you're doing, outlining makes your work look better. For some reason, black seems to be the color of choice, because for some reason black just makes everything pop. Now this little angel here, her wings are actually outlined in red, and it works. It's really pretty. However, it doesn't always work. When I done my Santa, it was outlined, parts of it was outlined in red, and it didn't look right. It just didn't look right. But when I outlined it with black, you could actually see like the little crevices and stuff that they were trying to get you to be able to see. On the chart, it looked good, but when you actually finished it, you couldn't tell. And so when, you know, it makes a difference in what you're making and the colors you use and that kind of thing. Now, this little angel, the outline on like her hands here, before I outlined, you could not tell that was praying hands. But once I put the outline in there, you could see that she had her little hands folded and she was praying. And, you know, the face is not, it actually has little pink cheeks here. But you could not, it all blended together. Now, the whole purpose of this not being outlined is so that it will blend together. But because I outlined her little nose and her little eyes, they show up. They show up much better. And as you can see, this bottom part has not been outlined yet. Once I get it all done, I'll show it to you again. But this, you know, you can't tell where her sleeves are. I mean, you can kind of get the general idea of her sleeves, but once this outline is done, you'll actually be able to see her sleeves. So the outline does make a difference, and the color you use does make the difference. So pay attention to your outlining. And of course, on this outline, it's done in back stitch. But I'm going to be doing some other stuff, not right away. I am going to be doing some embroidery. Basically in the embroidery, I'm just going to be introducing the stitches. I'm not going to actually go in detail like I did with the cross stitch. There's really no need. You just need to know what the stitches are. But later on down the road, I'll be doing some other things too. Until I start the embroidery, though, I'm going to be doing some other videos that's not related to a craft. It's just general information type videos. Maybe doing some mending, give you some tip videos for storage and different things like that. In the meantime, I'm going to finish up these last bags, and then I'll do a video on finishing your project. In the meantime, you all have a nice day, and I will see you soon.